Flash.
Showing.
Yeah. Wait, it's only recording, it's what if someone externally wants to participate?
So people can
So they are-
join the meeting now,
So right, so you gotta let them in.
but nobody's
Be
gonna
careful about the admit all, in case you get Zoom bombs.
Okay.
I mean, those people are all fine, but
Okay.
but just look at,
Yeah.
well, actually, I don't
So
know
did
who
you have
Alex
this?
or Dita is. That Alex thing scares me because you guys have live,
Yeah.
we're recording.
Yep.
So we should stand for the pledge.
Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And as a way of respecting, honor, community, creating awareness of our past, we begin our village meetings by acknowledging that we focus on the ancestral land of the Montezovas and Lenape people. Please check out our agendas and minutes and help us add to our list of ways to support Indigenous communities.
There's no changes to either the consent agenda or the business agenda. We can move into announcements. Alice, do you want to do announcements first?
Sure. So I wanted to share that we have our +1 ADU workshop coming up next Wednesday, September 18th, 7 o'clock. Hybrid, just like our, village board meetings. So if you want to come in person, we'll be here at 25 Platicille Ave. And if you want to zoom in, we'll have that Zoom link shared out and about. But if you are, a property owner, either in the village of New Paltz or in the town of Lloyd, because we're teaming up, and you're interested in, helping add to local housing stock, and receiving, financial assistance in doing so, come to this workshop. And then September 17th is our assembly members climate town hall. I don't have the time, but I just wanted to share that out because that's coming up on Tuesday. And then September 24th at 7 p.m. Right here in the Village Hall meeting room is the Landlord Tenant Relations Council meeting that will be an open house. Volunteer Teresa made a flyer that we are all sharing out, so keep an eye on that. But if you're a tenant with questions, come by. If you're a landlord with questions, come by. If you're neither one of those and you have questions, concerns, ideas, want to volunteer, come on through. And I think we'll have some snacks too. And that's it for now.
Sana, we're doing alphabetical announcements tonight. So
Okay.
it's you and Stevie and me.
Okay, I'm going to do my last announcement for the community healing circle we're having next Monday, the 16th. We have a few spots left. So recently our community has experienced a lot of division regarding the war in the Middle East and community members' reactions to it. We're inviting local residents to meet for a community circle to discuss how to disagree on the crisis in the Middle East without hurting each other. Circles are used to facilitate community conversations about important subjects and offer an inclusive and collaborative space for group members to share openly and build or rebuild trust with each other. Circles can be used to strengthen relationships within groups and provide members the space to understand each other's perspectives and why they might behave in a particular way. Circle processes are conducted in a very specific structure where conversation is centered around a series of prompts led by a facilitator. Every participant will have a chance to speak to each prompt for a set amount of time without interruption. This circle will be facilitated by Miriam Frankel, the Executive Director of the Dispute Resolution Center, and it's happening Monday, September 16th at 7 p.m. right here in the Village Hall Meeting Room, 25 Platicille Avenue. The entrance is adjacent to the former fire department garage phase. And in order for all participants to be heard and being mindful of time constraints, we're gonna be capping the sessions at about 12 participants. And depending on interest, we will offer more circles, meaning, no one, we're not picking and choosing, whoever wants to come can come. If enough people, wanna come, that we need to have a second circle, we will do that. For those interested in taking part, please email me, S. Weisberg, WELSBURD @villageofnewpaltz.org. And that's the first one. The second one is Family of New Paltz. If anybody can help in any way, any amount, small or large, donated to family helps our neighbors. They help people pay bills, they help people with food, you name it, they help with it. Currently, they're and always particularly in need of feminine hygiene products and other personal care items. And food. So if you have anything to share, please reach out to family. And the next conversations with the police will be happening on Monday, the 16th at 11 a.m. at the police department. I'll be outside with a tent, and any questions or concerns that you have regarding police, please join them on Monday, 11 a.m.
I can update one of my announcements, because I didn't have enough logistics, but our assembly member, Sarah Hanish's climate town hall, that's on Tuesday, the 17th. It's at 6 p.m. Or the doors open at 6 p.m. The program begins at 6:30 p.m. It's in lecture room 108 on campus. And I just got a link that I'm going to share out on my social media as soon as this meeting ends. And then I have one more announcement that I almost forgot, but I'm not forgetting now. The next really free market is taking place this Saturday, September 14th, from 1 until 5 over in Peace Park. And at the last one, I got one of my favorite new clothing items that I'm not wearing right now, so I can't demonstrate it. But if you have items, things to get rid of, let's keep everything out of the landfill. One person's trash is another person's treasure. So bring your stuff and find your new stuff.
And if you have food to donate, you can also donate the free food fridge right here at Village Hall, 25 Flagstaff Avenue. And if you can help keep the fridge clean, please go to millionsofbutterflies.org and sign up to help keep everything nice for everybody.
Stevie, do you have anything to? Okay. So a couple of announcements I wanted to share. I'm glad Supervisor Gatto is with us, because I wanted to update on the conversation that we've had about siting solar on the fire station building. So Amanda has worked on a RFP for the town's police department, and so she's been helping us figure out what we should include in an RFP for our fire station building. So we hope to have that RFP available shortly, and one of the reasons that we're excited and ready to get that out is because we received a grant award of $100,000 from Ulster County. It was through the American Rescue Plan program, where they were sharing some of those grants with the individual communities in Ulster County. So that augments the $240,000 that we had already secured through NYSERDA. Brad, our project manager, has been spearheading that, so he's been shepherding, these different sources of money that will help us pay for that. So at this point, we have a total of $340K to put towards that solar project. And again, thank you, Amanda, for helping us. Is there anything that you wanted to add, or any additional color about what we're doing?
No, actually, your building is well designed for solar. You've got a standing seam metal roof. It's a fairly new building, so it's going to be a really, I think, easy installation for whoever puts forth their proposals. We've already, for the police station, we're working, there's 4 coming in, so I think you'll probably hear from those folks or others, but I think you'll get good response.
Great. And you guys discussed at your recent meeting, we're going to get together as joint municipalities on the 19th. You're going to host that joint meeting We look forward to getting together. So, you know, a couple of the things that I wanted to make sure that we had on that agenda was, you know, just this idea of submitting a downtown revitalization initiative grant / New York Forward program jointly. You know, we're gonna continue our conversation and hopefully button up everything we need regarding a consolidation study. And then I also wanted to make sure that that emergency center water district conversation, just that we get that all sorted and finalized. So I can recirculate the email that we looked at a couple weeks ago, but anything that we need to do to get all of those finalized, I think would be great to include on that agenda.
Right, that was Water District 3, right?
Yes. And trustee Bill Murray got here. The reason he was late is because he's a volunteer firefighter, so he was actually delayed responding to a call. So
Thank you.
just wanted to make sure everyone knew that's fine.
It's all good.
Everything's okay?
Everything's good.
Great. I don't believe I have any other announcements to share. Bill, did you want to share anything?
Sure, I'll just make this quick announcement that the Padre Julius Tobin Plus Economic and Social Justice Scholarship has the winners. There are 4 of them. First place went to James Lynch of Ontario, he $2,000. Second place of $1,000 goes to Wendy Zhao of New Paltz High School. Third place goes to Kobe Wolfmeyer of New Paltz High School, and he gets $500. Then we had an honorable mention, $250 for Rosalind Vargas of Kingston High School. All did a tremendous job. Their essays were terrific. The judges loved them all. So that's where we are. And congratulations to that. They're all now in college.
It's great to hear.
Yes.
So for this evening, we were intending to have a public hearing regarding the opt-in good cause law. That will officially be on the agenda at our next meeting, but we're 100% willing to hear from the public. If any individuals, whether they're online or in person, want to make a comment in the general public comment section of our meeting, and you're welcome to comment on the draft proposal regarding this opt-in legislation. So do we have anyone in person who would like to make a public comment? Come on up, you can just state your name for the record, join us at the table so the mic can pick up your words.
Great, I'm excited to listen.
Whatever you're more comfortable with.
So my name is Caroline Ohl, I use they pronouns, and I'm a student over at New Paltz. I'm a junior, so I've been there for a couple of years. I've also grew up in the Hudson Valley, so I've really gotten to see the changes over the past couple decades of the housing instability in Hudson Valley. And especially the past few years, I've been able to see it in New Paltz with my friends, my coworkers, my family. Everyone is really being impacted by this, myself included. My partner and I are in the process of moving and looking for an apartment, and finding something that's affordable and is impossible. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm really for good cause eviction. It'll allow a lot of protections for renters, myself included. And yeah, while at the same time still enforcing the see. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. It'll also allow for protections on tenants to make sure that they don't get evicted unfairly. They'll have more rights when it comes to that. And then they will also have more rights when it comes to protections against rent increases. Because it's really interesting if you look like on Zillow and things like that, if you go back in the history of an apartment, you can really see like increases like every month or so of like 2%, 9%, things like that. And it's really interesting. You know, I when I was younger growing up, it was like, oh, maybe I'll be able to afford a house when I grow older, things like that. And now it's just struggling to get a studio apartment. You know, and so that's one of the main reasons why I'm very for cause eviction. You know, we need something, we really do, and so I really strongly urge you to pass the strongest piece of legislation that we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello again.
Just say your name for.
Hi, my name is Robin Runga. I'm the local director for the many. You've heard me speak on the cause eviction many times, so I'll try and keep it brief. I just want to focus my remarks today, on why it's important to pass the strongest possible version of the law. First by setting the portfolio size exemption of 1 unit. You know, I think it might be tempting to try and split the difference or appease some of the landlords in defaults by increasing that portfolio size exemption. There's a reason that every upstate city that has opted in has chosen a portfolio size exemption at 1, because this was a loophole that was deliberately created, I would argue, by the real estate on the statewide level to create another avenue for some landlords to potentially exploit and get around the law. A portfolio size exemption of 1 unit will exempt some of the smallest landlords in the state, but it won't create a potential LLC loophole that we discussed before, where landlords could create multiple LLCs. And while we theoretically should be able to identify who owns each LLC, I think you all know in practice that wouldn't happen. It would leave a lot of tenants in the dark about whether they're covered or not. And it would just create additional ambiguity that bad landlords could then exploit by evicting tenants. And the law also has, many carve-outs, right? If it's an owner-occupied building, it's exempt. If it's, low-income, federally subsidized housing, it's exempt. If it's a newer constructed building, it's exempt. So there's already all sorts of exemptions, more exemptions than a lot of advocates wanted. So a higher portfolio size exemption would only further exempt additional tenants and weaken the law. Also urge you to set a high rent exemption at 345% of the fair market rent. This would only exclude truly luxury housing. Anything lower could potentially incentivize landlords to artificially raise rents in order to be exempt. So 345% is what we urge. And also just like on the record, this law does not penalize good landlords, right? Landlords still have a lot of power over that property. They can still evict tenants if the tenant is being problematic, if they're breaking the lease, if they're doing something illegal. Landlords can still reclaim the property for personal use or for taking it off of the market. This just codifies the practices that are already in place by good landlords. Because tenants shouldn't have to rely on the goodwill of their landlord in order to have housing security. That should just be guaranteed through law, and bad landlords should be held accountable. And I'd also say that landlords still have the ability to raise rents, right? They can still raise rents by 5% plus the consumer price index, which I believe is 8.45%. And they could raise rents even more than that. All they have to do is justify that to a judge. And all sorts of things are justifiable reasons to raise rents as written in the statewide legislation. The city of Newburgh passed a cause eviction on Monday. Additional cities like Hudson and Middletown and the town of Poughkeepsie and other cities across New York State are considering it. So I urge you all to join all those other cities in passing good cause. As Caroline mentioned, this is something that's really affecting the student population, a lot of the folks that call defaults home, and it's a big step you can take right now to address the housing crisis. So I urge you to do so. Thank you.
Robin, do you know why the properties that are newer, like if they're built after, is it 09?
09, yeah.
So what's the rationale behind that? I'm just curious, like.
I mean, I don't know what I would tell you is that real estate really aggressively lobbied the state legislature to create as many carve-outs as possible. I think they would probably tell you, that it could, carving out new construction incentivizes new construction, prevents tenant rights from, I'm making the arguments for them. There really isn't a good argument for it because then it's a new housing and old housing need the same protections.
I just didn't know if there was like a date attached, like with the Emergency Tenant Protection Act, it's like the 74 or 72, because they're responding to like when that legislation first occurred. Like I didn't know, is there anything that connects, why 2009?
I'm not sure what the justification is. Maybe it's like just 15 years ago, and that's the reason. But yeah, it's
Okay.
after 2009, and then it's a rolling date, so it's like it's 10 and.
Oh, so maybe it is 15.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that's what I'm assuming.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
got it. I thought maybe you had some nuanced understanding. Okay,
That's
Thank
my
you.
understanding, but any other questions? Okay,
Thank
great, thank you.
Do we have anyone online who wants to make a public comment? How can we do this? How can we see if they want to?
I do. This is Tammy Friedman.
Okay, go ahead, Tammy.
Yes, I'm not exactly sure about this legislation that you're talking about, but I can tell you as a landlord that more regulation and more control does not help the town of New Paltz at all. And since under your watch, Mr. Rogers, the really charming part of New Paltz is almost disappearing. I know you were involved in the Zero Place project. It took you a long time to rent out that project, and the rents are much higher than other places. There's another law that was just passed in Ulster County allowing homeowners to add accessory apartments so they can pay their high taxes that they get nothing for in New York State. So now you're going to go after homeowners that are going to try to get their taxes paid by having an accessory apartment. You want to get them out of the business now? So by regulating everybody, you're creating more problems. Why don't you take care of the water? Why don't you take care of the roads? Why don't you take care of the stuff that you're supposed to do as a government? And I sent a letter with my comments from the planning board. This is regarding a large apartment complex that you're looking to do in the village. Because first of all, I don't believe that you'll be able to pass a large project with high taxes and give affordable tax and housing in the same thing. Because I remember Zero Place was supposed to be that too. And meanwhile, that's higher than most properties. So I don't believe any of the stuff you guys are trying to sell to the student population. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Friedman. Anyone else online interested in making a public comment? Are they able to turn their own mics?
They
on and
should
off?
be, everybody should be able to turn on their mic and or camera if they wanted to make a comment.
Okay. No other public comments, then let's move on.
Ask Tammy to mute herself again, when she's not speaking now, because it can screw up. the- You know.
You can do that, right?
There you go.
I would mute everyone. We should be able to control the mics.
Yeah. I was able to.
Okay, we have a consent agenda. I motion we adopt the consent agenda, move that we adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Sorry.
Oh, it's away.
Okay, it makes me anxious.
Same.
Motion is the motion, you moved it.
I know. So we have the Emergency Preparedness Committee replacement appointment. Autumn Seguin had been our liaison. We don't currently have a person for that spot. I'm gonna suggest that we put Brad in as a if you're interested in taking on another project. There's how about Brad and Tim? Brad and Tim will be the co.
This.
Oh, wait.
From what we had done with.
Did we add you?
We did. I had said.
So then all we need to do, then we're all set. So
Yeah.
Donna is, this is fantastic.
Forget it.
Donna had already volunteered to
Because I'm
fill
building
this
on
role.
that.
That's right.
Of
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
That was.
So all we need to do is, it's really just a paperwork thing where we're removing Autumn's name because Autumn is no longer officially.
And, but mine.
I think you were already,
You did already.
you
Yeah,
already. Well, let's just make sure that it's. Brad, let's just double check that Stana is listed as our appointee for emergency preparedness, and then Autumn is removed.
Second.
All in favor, I don't know that required. So regarding the good cause eviction law, we're gonna have a public hearing to draft proposal, a public hearing in our next meeting. And we're also gonna have a secret determination at that next meeting as well. So I move that we set the public hearing for good cause eviction on 9/25.
Second.
Any discussion, further discussion? All in favor? Lead service line, so,
Oh.
what?
Well, I mean, or I could save it for next time. I got some cool numbers to share.
Regarding good cause?
Yeah,
Okay,
like, you know, some census stuff. Like basically the way, like, under our version of, you know, the opt-in, it looks like, 1,354 like households would be protected. But if we were to opt in, like, just with like the template from the governor, it would be down to 520 households. So, I thought that was just like some more good
explain
math,
that further,
Yeah.
I don't quite understand.
just trying to figure out, I guess I can circle back with more info, next time, 'cause I just have some notes, but yeah, like basically, if we don't put the different carve outs and stuff in there, you know, obviously it would mean more people get the protections,
So things like the one portfolio and
Yeah.
the number,
Yeah.
number.
the two things that we can adjust. So with it set as like the portfolio size exemption at 1 unit, and with the high rent exemption at 345% of market rate. Yeah,
Can you chart that out in some way?
okay,
Yeah. So basically,
yeah,
good for the public to see that.
I'll just keep adding more details each week. Thanks, that's all.
Okay, so the next on this agenda is lead service line inventory. We got a grant award, I think it's about 190K to do a study to eyeball potentially how much lead may or may not be in the service lines throughout our water system. And Brad and John Myler from our Public Works Department, along with other staff from Public Works, have been working on that study, and we have to submit it by the middle of October, and this is a requirement per the EPA. So regarding the grant award received, we have a resolution authorizing Brad to be the representative for the lead service line inventory, and this is just to allow him to move some of this paperwork forward. And then we also have a resolution declaring the lead service line this study to be a type 1 action, or I'm sorry, a type 2 action. We need to do both of those things to secure the financial assistance from the grantor. I move that we go ahead with both of those resolutions.
Second.
All in favor? Any questions?
No, it's just exciting.
Next up is the resolution for bills and claims. Let's go ahead and move that forward. All in favor? And we want to do liaison update from the planning board.
Sure, a brief one from the Ulster County Planning Board. There was nothing before that board involved. And the planning board meeting of last week, there were quite a number of applications, all for their own various levels of concern. I'll point out that specifically the largest one for 149, 151 North Chestnut Street. Because of so many agencies and so many interested parties, Mr. Mike Bain suggested that perhaps all these people come together in the village of the town, whoever else, developers, planning board members, county planning board members, to come together in a single meeting. They've done what's known as a county gateway meeting, more or less, to examine the impact of that large residential unit going in that corner. And last I heard, it's 126 units, so I think it seems very worthwhile, given the location and the intersection at the very beginning of the village, of our village. That's very briefly.
Great. No ZBA update. That is all we have, and we can adjourn.
Second.
Um,
Wow.